On my part, you can expect me to continue this series in case there's another hunt.
Fucking kidding me?
Roblox is really trying to make up for all this years that we have been starving for events.
Man, I'm dead.
So, only after a couple of months since the hunt, a new event has been announced, this being the classic event. To be honest, even if it's just the hunt too, it's still a pretty big deal to see a company like Roblox acknowledge their past. Since anyone who has been here for a couple of years can tell you that, at times it felt like Roblox despised all the classic things that made them shine in the first place. Since all they would talk about would be the
metaverse.
Check this out.
Wow.
So that's pretty neat.
This is so freaking cool.
either that or... Anyways, in a very rare Roblox W, this thing is happening. So of course, when I learned about it, I had to tragically pause the making of the Steep Steps iceberg, and yeah, I am actually doing it, guys. I promise I didn't abandon the idea. So anyways, let's start with the video.
And another thing, you're ugly.
I'm not gonna fucking hide it. Cliplt was the worst experience I had during the event.
Miss Rabbit has fainted.
And sure, I'm aware that for many of you, this was just a mid-quest with nothing interesting at all. And it definitely is if you use a guide. But you see, dear viewer, I had the unfortunate luck of having this to be my first game in the event, and as a result, there were no guides at the time I did this. And oh boy, where to start? So, in order to get the tokens, you need to find 5 classic characters and film them on video. It sounds easy, right? Well, it sure is. That's why the developers of the game said,
Fuck you, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
me, just like everyone else in my server, was looking for the 5 classic characters inside the 5 new classic maps. It sounds logical, right?
No.
Search for classic event characters inside classic event maps, right? But no, because that would make things actually fair. So instead, you have only 2 out of 5 characters in this maps. Crossroads literally has none. But you know which map has 2 characters? Fuck facility for some reason. And not only as characters, but the scary map, for any reason whatsoever, have more ticks and characters than the actual classic maps. And you guessed it, dear viewer, no one is gonna tell you this little piece of information. At any point the game mentions that there are any ticks or characters outside the classic maps, and of course, if there's hidden stuff in the dark maps, why wouldn't also be hidden stuff in any other of the other 20 environments this game has? You can't know it, since the game fucking fails at explaining anything to you, and talking about making things clear. You may have read that it says puzzles, right? Well, again,
Shut the fuck up.
because it's actually puzzle. If you can call it that, because all you gotta do is film this red splat paint. And why? Good question. There are so many fake clues added for no reason, like this numbers you can press that do nothing, or this poem that doesn't correlate at all with how to find the final character. Me and the entire server started to look for ticks and characters in any of the other 20 maps the game has, because again, the game never tells you what maps are the ones with characters in it, it's all up to you to guess. It may be not the longest, or the most frustrating one, but in my eyes, this is the worst quest in the classic event.
Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change.
Okay, so, the game on this spot of the ranking is the one that made me realize that getting the 5 tokens in any of these games actually required time, and it wasn't just something you could do in 15 minutes like in the hunt. Problem is, many of the games in this event don't feel like having 5 different quests for the 5 different tokens. That's why most of them will have you replaying the same quest. Sometimes with a couple of changes, I repeat. Sometimes, because my god, what Litoopia did has severely affected my brain. In here, you need to complete deliveries in order to get the tokens. This include going to the supermarket, getting a certain amount of items distributed throughout the supermarket, pack them, search for the customers somewhere in the city, and handle them the items. It's sure a harmless chore, right? Not that fun at all, but is not annoying. Well, in order to get the 5 tokens, you need to do the same exact set of actions, 15 times. Oh my fucking god. Who thought doing the same exact thing 15 times was fun at all?
What the fuck?
Hell, even actual fun quests would be tearing after doing them 5 times in a row, let alone 15.
Oh my god!
This game is the worst case of an ongoing issue many games in this event had. The non-existent replayability.
I created you. You created me.
Tower defense simulator.
That guy.
I didn't. He's talking crazy.
Back in the hunt. One of my greatest complaints about the event was that there were many games that were rip-offs from other games that also happened to be in the hunt.
Whoops.
Despite being a completely valid complaint, it's true I can somewhat understand that in 100 games, there were a couple of stinkers. Anyways, what I don't understand whatsoever is how the f did they manage to do the same thing with only 15 games. I don't need to explain why Toilet Defense Simulator is this low. Having this game in the classic event, but not Crossroads or Natural Disaster, well, speaks for itself. I won't go into details of why the inclusion of this game proves that this event failed miserably as a tribute to the classic era. Or how Roblox used something people were attached to make sure popular games made even more money for them, since those are ingredients for another sandwich. So I'll just go to the point of why the game itself sucks. The ticks can be found by doing the classic find 10 ticks on a map. Not actively terrible, but completely bland and uncaring. The tokens, on the other hand, can be obtained by doing a certain set of actions. It's true that, if you enjoy this types of games, you may have found this game passable. Thing is, that's not my case. I hated every single second I spent here. The quests are not made for newcomers, since the fucking easy mode is not easy. The rest of the quests are just boring and long. I don't know, man. There's not much to say in here. Is a boring game that screams cash grabs with uninspired quests, which also happens to be overshadowed by the better defense simulator game. Nothing else to say, moving on. In this spot of the ranking we find what I consider to be the final absolutely awful experience. Basically, from here, all we will find it's only terrible and mediocre, with a couple of actual good quests. The reason of why the game in this spot enters the burning pile of horse crap category, also known as F tier, is not because the game sucks, or has you doing the same exact set of unfun actions for hours, or because it tricks you for no reason. In fact, the reason of why Blade Ball is here is because it's so fucking long. Remember what I said in my hunt video? And I'll be completely honest, the only reason of why Blade Ball didn't made it into my lat video is because I was lucky enough to do this quests when they were easy. Well, a Blade Ball developer probably saw that and made sure I actually got my doses of infinite boring mediocre quests. And the worst thing is, they actually put effort this time. They made an entire boss for this event alone, and I really appreciate it as a player. But just like wideness ruined a steep steps glider completely, the longevity of this quest ruins 95% of the experience. The quests given are very repetitive and extremely long for no reason, and take in consideration, the only reason of why I was able to do it is because I already had experience in this game. Imagine a new player coming to Blade Ball because of the event and being asked to kill 75 fucking players in his first 6 quests. Well, no need to imagine, is a fucking reality. I actually wanted to be positive with this quest and at least put it out from the F tier, but I just can't.
Mom! Am I adopted? Yeah! Oh!
Adopt Me is quite the interesting case, since man, their quest in the hunt was low-key fun, and a punch of nostalgia if you actually played this game back in the day. But the classic event is so bad, oh my god. I mean, at least you get to play the game and understand how it works. But then again, there's a reason why no one claims Adopt Me is the funniest game ever. You have to raise a teapot until it becomes an adult. It takes a while, and you'll have as much fun as you would seeing wall paint drying. I won't talk more about this quest, since I'm kinda doing my best effort to forget it. Moving on. Driving Empire is a game about fast cars, and yet has one of the slowest quests in the classic event. Basically, to get the tokens, you need to get points and unlock them in a weird battle pass, just like in Blade Ball. And also just like Blade Ball, is both long and painful. Seriously though, the only reason of why this game made it above Blade Ball is because it's not nearly as long. However, don't fool yourself, because it's still pretty damn tearing. To get points you can do two things. The first one is race Builder Man and beat him, and the second is make some taxi-ass quests. The taxi quests can be fun at first, but they get repetitive very soon. The races, however, are even worse. Builder Man is easy to beat. Problem is that, once you beat him, your next opponent will be 1x1x1x1. And oh boy. They should probably drug test the hacker guy. The races get tearing pretty quick as well, since the course never changes. I literally have zero feelings towards this quest. I even almost forgot to add it. Anyways, let's move on, please, let's get the f*** out.
You knew I was the dragon. You always knew.
This is the only game in the entire event whose existence I forgot even more than freaking Pilot Kingdom, because wow, was flying reptile shenanigans a forgettable experience. Worst thing is, the game actually seems like, the only reason this game made it over the Cars one is because I actually enjoyed controlling my dragon. Problem is, this is probably the quest with the second most annoying search quest in the event. Since at least here they tell me what to do.
Devastation.
At this point I can't help but ask, how much time did the developers have to make their quest? Because oh my god, how is it possible that almost every single game in the event had such repetitive, boring, and overall uninspired quests? How sad is that? If we added Snowboard's 15 minutes quest in this ranking, it would be higher in every single one mentioned yet. I haven't much to say, and I really mean it. So let's keep going.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast!
Okay, so, before all these simulator fans try to steal my girlfriend and start a lawsuit against humanity for stealing their honey, I'll just say that, unlike the previous objectively catastrophic soulless time eaters, this one is here more for personal reasons. I don't really like what they did. I appreciate the fact that you don't need to have good bees in order to complete the quest. But still, killing slimes that all they do is move got boring for me pretty quickly. There's no strategy here, just get the sword and kill the slimes, and don't you worry, they will never fight back. This may be the first PvP game that somehow turned off my brain. Also, you better hope your partners are all skilled swordsmen. Because if one of them is a fucking child,
Dude, get off of me!
and trust me, the odds say they will be, then you better say goodbye to the idea of getting all 5 tokens. But hey, I can still appreciate the effort and care they put in here, even if I didn't enjoy the quest.
When we go in this restaurant, you are 12. Mom, I am 8.
Okay, so, remember a minute ago? I said that BSim was a good quest that I happened to find boring. Well, the opposite happens here. I actually enjoyed Restaurant Tycoon way more than I thought. I'm aware this is an extremely unpopular opinion, but allow me to explain what I liked about this game. While BSim's quest basically turned off my brain, this one did the exact opposite. I was focused the entire time, because for Lord Peppino's sake, this game doesn't give you a break. This game really captures the feeling of actually working in a restaurant, and by that I mean that you'll have to do like 8 different tasks, and you'll have barely time to do them. I kinda believe that this game's experience changes a lot depending on how you manage your restaurant. If you get many workers and have only a couple of tables, then you'll have a much boring, but relaxing experience. In my personal case, well, I didn't even know you could hire people.
Are you stupid?
So I just kept adding tables and chairs. And as a result, I had one of the most brutal experiences ever. However, I do understand the complaints about this quest. It gets very repetitive, especially if you want the 5 tokens. But honestly, I'd rather get a long and intense quest than a shorter but extremely boring one. Although that's just my personal opinion. Moving on.
That hat makes you look like a girl.
Am I a pretty girl?
Oh, well, you're beautiful.
This is probably the game that surprised me the most by far, because I think we can all agree that no one expected anything from Dress to Impress. And can you blame us?
Hi, sister!
This game was also already in the hunt, and the quest in there was, well... So, when it came back here, somehow, I was preparing myself for a potential F-tier quest. But bro, the quest they ended up delivering was extremely decent. The ticks searching part is not hard, aside that one tick's inside the furniture. Whoever came up with that, you. After getting the 10 hidden ticks, a portal is opened, and I have to admit, I was pretty damn scared the first time I entered this thing. I couldn't help but to imagine what kind of nightmarish land worthy of Greek tragedy this would take me. And the result was an obby. You just need to complete the obby to obtain all 5 tokens. The parkour is also not impossible or boringly easy, actually a pretty decent challenge. I had a bit of fun doing this quest, which is way more than I expected, so thanks I guess.
Alright, good night, gamer.
Wow. Was Bedwars f***ing hard? This is basically Bee Simulator's quest, but actually fun. You'll have to protect your bed from violent Minecraft enjoyer penguins. Unlike the slimes that we saw in Bee Simulator, these guys are actually pretty damn tough. And trust me, you'll have to come up with great strategies to defeat them. This may easily be one of the hardest quests, if not the hardest, in the entire event. The only thing that kinda bothers me is that, just like Bee Simulator, if your partners are allergic to logic, then you won't get very far regardless of your own skill. But aside that, a pretty enjoyable quest. Gunfight Arena was the first good experience I had while doing a quest in the classic event. It's also the 5th game I played. This game is one of the most chaotic first-person shooters I've played, and I love it. The quest in here requires you to kill a certain amount of enemies using certain classic weapons. It's simple, yet it works wonders. The classic weapons are all amazing to use, beside one. I enjoyed 95% of my time here, and after 5 absolute crappy games, I really needed a game that proved me that, yes, there are enjoyable quests in the classic event.
Stay home. Protect power. Save lives.
In my last video, I got tons of comments asking me where the f*** was Tower Defense Simulator. And even if I don't like those types of games, I gotta admit that it actually deserved to be in that video. So I'm gonna try my best to praise this game now that I have the chance, because God is this quest fun. And this comes from someone who doesn't like tower defense games.
Move! Move!
The game makes an amazing job giving you many troops so you can enjoy the full experience, and not just one. Hearing Winds of Fjord was also an amazing touch that made the experience 10 times better. And they also somewhat fixed the main issue I have with these types of games. The slow-paced. This is also one of the few games to actually add 5 quests, instead of having you repeat the same one, so that's super appreciated it. At the end of the day, Tower Defense Simulator is one of only 2 games who have done great quests in both Hunt and the classic event, so why don't we talk about the second one?
You just got sent to Noob Factory. Share this with all of your friends to totally Noob Factory them.
Arsenal always delivers. When I started making this video, I completely expected Arsenal to be at the top of the ranking. And even if that didn't end up being the case, it still got second, which is a more than respectable spot. To be fair, the only reason of why I was forced to leave Arsenal one step away from the number 1, again, is because this game can be a bit annoying with the replayability. It's true they add certain conditions you must follow to get the other tokens, which make the replayability less tearing, but still, having to repeat this huge classic level a minimum of 5 times, yeah, that gets a bit annoying no matter what new conditions you put. Anyways, I'm done talking about what I didn't like. So let's talk about what I did like. Everything else, Arsenal is always a fun game, so of course the gameplay is on point. Being frenetic yet fun, the variety of weapons is huge, also allowing you to use the iconic classic ones, which are extremely cool. The references to the old Roblox are a ton and amazing, including stages based on classic Roblox games that make the level feel complete. The difficulty is a bit high, but the checkpoint system is very kind, so it's very balanced and you won't get frustrated. It's an amazing quest in every way, and my favorite in the classic event, but sadly, there's another game which in my opinion, did deserve the top of the ranking. And if you have been counting, you already know which one I'm talking about. I know a certain community, and a certain person, who is gonna kill me for putting this game on the top of the ranking. But I feel like not putting this on number 1 would be wrong. Dusty Trip's quest feels like an actual journey through classic Roblox. 5 different locations all from the classic times of Roblox, in which you'll have to complete a series of battles in order to obtain the tokens, finally facing the main baddie in the last location, which is, fittingly, the Roblox's HQ. There are many things this quest does amazingly, like the fact that it actually has 5 quests for the 5 different tokens, the difficulty is well balanced, is quite fun, and you are always wondering what's coming next. But that's kinda obvious, so I'm gonna tell you one thing this game does super well, and is in fact, the only game in the entire classic event that got right this detail. This quest has by far the best representation of the 1x1x1x1 hacker guy. He's not just some random boss you face for dumb tickets, or a reckless driver, or some dude you kill by just pressing a giant red button. This is the only quest in the entire hunt where the hacker's presence can actually be felt. He's an active menace to you in every step of your way, making him an actual real antagonist. This next with how his presence alone is enough to glitch the entire land, and the corrupted texts appearing on screen when he talks. And yeah, Roblox is not the place I go when trying to find good villains, but wow. Dusty Trip's 1x1x1x1 is one of the better foes I've faced inside of a Roblox game.
Oh, I'm evil because I kill you and your family.
So, with all of this said, Dusty Trip gets the number 1 in the spot of this ranking, being in my personal opinion, the best quest in the entire classic event. Okay, so, before going a quick outro, sorry for the 2 months absence guys, I was full of tests, so many tests holy hell. Luckily I'm only a few weeks away from being free, and officially in summer. The next video will be the Steep Steps Iceberg, and trust me, it won't take me that long, since I already have a huge chunk of it done. Well, that's all for today's video, hope you guys enjoyed it, and good night.